Hey guys, um, the last two videos I made had to do a lot with solvers and playing game theoretical or optimal, and a lot of that stuff is great, but some of my friends that watch the videos kind of requested something maybe that doesn't have to do with using a solver, so I kind of want to go over a hand that I played tonight earlier during the day that I think we could kind of talk about without using the solver. And maybe at the end of the video, I'll check the solver mainly for the sizing because I wanted to go over a specific idea, and that's polarization. So, polarization is the idea that anything, but within the contents of poker, your hand is either at the top of is really good, so at the top of your range, or really bad, which would be at the bottom. So it's polar. It's not. There's no. You're not really doing stuff with medium strength hands. You either have air or you have a really good hand. And a lot of times, to coincide with this idea, you bet either very large or very small slash checking. Um, and the reason you do this is because you want to basically put the opponent into a decision where they have to decide if they think you are full of shit or not. And the reason why you don't want to, I mean, sometimes you want to do it with medium strength hands, but the reason why we polarize in certain spots is so that we get the maximum or the most we can get possibly in the hand. So I'll start with this hand. I have King 10 suited under the gun +1, 8-handed, 2-5 no limit at the Jack Casino. A lot of out-of-towners in town for the MSPT, Mid-Stakes Poker Tour Championship. Make a standard raise to 15. Folds around the small blind, who 3 bets to 55, and I make a pretty standard call. Now, I do think this specific villain, you could argue that we can actually fold King 10 pre. Uh, he was an older gentleman, not super ancient, was definitely not an old man coffee, as they call him. Definitely a gamer. He is probably in his early 50s, late 40s. He can shuffle chips. He's very comfortable around poker. Um, he's the type of player that usually um, advanced players destroy even more than like an old man coffee. An old man coffee is drawing dead in a competition against a player like myself and other professional poker players, but it's a very slow death, and old man coffee kind of they can hold on enough. Or a player like this who's thinking at a little bit of a higher level than an old man coffee, uh, I know they just put too much money in at the wrong times and make glaring mistakes, and they're trying to think like us, but they're just not quite there. So the exploitation happens very swift with them, very very hard, and he's one of them. He shows aggressive, like he probably looked at pre-flop charts. He knows that you should be three betting certain hands, etc., etc., which is why I called, but you could probably just fold King 10. I mean, I'm under the gun +1, and he's three betting from the small blind, and he's over the age of 50. Pretty sure you could probably fold this, even though it's mega tight. But we'll play how you're supposed to play, and we'll call with the king 10 suited. On the flop, king jack 8 rainbow. It favors the 3-better a lot. He has all the kings, he has all the jacks, he has all the 8s. I have 8s at I have a lot of 8s. I have some jacks, but he has all the kings. So I think he could make a big bet here. But he could also go small. And what he shouldn't do is check. His range, his strategy, I think, just doesn't allow for checking. I mean, let's say his worst hand is, I don't know, what's like a bad suited low connector that he might be 3-betting here with. I mean, even if it's a suited ace, that let's say it's ace 5 of clubs, so he's like bluffing. I mean, that would be his check back range. So I just expected pretty much a bet, and of course he doesn't. He checks. Now when he checks, he polarizes heavily, so it would be a very big mistake to bet here, because if I bet here, then he's going to be raising me with he's going to be check raising me, and I just like have to fold. So I'm going to try to get to the showdown with this hand. The 6 of clubs is kind of like a blank, and he bets 75 into 115. This is where the alarm bells should go off. So as I was saying before, I'm continuing this video recording from yesterday just because I was getting kind of tired and I messed up a little bit. Alarm bells should be going off when he uses this sizing on the turn. Going back to the polarization topic that I discussed earlier in the video, and sort of the reason why I thought there was really no need to use a solver in this video to back up my logic is just because of the fact that there's this is just a common theory that this is kind of pre-solver theory that we don't really need to back up. I could back it up, but like I said, I wanted to keep this video kind of a non-solver video, which is fine. He bets 2/3 pot, which is giving us an okay price to call with our king 10. We're definitely not folding this hand, just so you know. But I do want to go over why this bet makes no sense. Like I said on the flop, when he checks this flop, that is pretty advantageous for the 3-better. So he should at least be range betting at frequency. He could be betting large at frequency too, because really the only hands that I have more of is maybe pocket 8s and king 8, but he has more of a nut advantage, and I could be raising here with king 8, king 9, king 10. That's definitely going to call a bet, and which is why on the turn, or this is why he should be betting the flop. When he bets this middle-ish type of hand, it doesn't coincide with his previous strategy by polarizing. He's using a size that is not polarizing. The solver wouldn't use this anyways. The solver would use a large bet like an overbet or a very small blocker type of bet that you would couple its other hands in, such as pair of jacks, pair of 8s, pair of 6s, or some kind of straight draw like 9-10. pretty much only 9-10, but you would only have the suited 9-10s, and this is a rainbow board. So this bet kind of doesn't make sense. I wanted to bring this topic up and ask ourselves these questions. Why do we bet? A lot of people used to give a lot of wrong answers to this question, and I believe these are the pretty much right answers to we could group any other type of reasoning into these overarching reasons. These reasons were brought forth by Matthew Janda in his book, The Applications of No Limit Hold'em, which is one of the greatest works on no limit theory or poker theory in general, where he uses this is written in the pre-solver era. He backed up his second book with the solver to understand the his reasonings in the first book, but he basically, by using logic and math, comes down to these two reasons. We bet to build a bigger pot in case we win it, so that would be like betting with a good hand, or we bet to prevent our opponent from realizing their equity, and this would be to bet when we have a better hand and we might be in the lead and we deny someone a price that would be profitable for them in the long run to continue with their holdings or their range, usually their range if we're talking about game theory optimal. So in this hand, let's ask ourselves the questions: why did he bet? He could pretty much just both reasons, which is totally fine. He's trying to build a bigger pot with who knows what hand, and he's trying to prevent me from realizing equity. That's totally fine, right? So we understand that. The problem is the sizing. He polarized on the flop, and then he unpolarizes on the turn. This doesn't make any sense. So with at least top pair, we're gonna call here, which is totally fine. Let's just go with that. And the river, I'm sorry, the river pairs the 8. And no flushes or straights are in. So the nuts is the full house, or a boat, or backdoor quads. And he bets 210 into a pot of 265, so laying roughly the same price as before. Again, this bet makes no sense. What would call this bet? Let's see what would call this bet. On the flop, there's no pocket sixes left. You would not float pocket sixes on this flop. Well, he checked. I'm sorry, he checked. So I could have pocket sixes. He cannot have pocket sixes. He would not be 3-betting 6-6. So pocket eights. So there's one combination of pocket eights, pocket jacks, pocket kings, any king. What wouldn't call this bet? A pair of jacks would not call. A pair of sixes would not call. And most pair of kings would not call. So what would call? A good king, I guess. Or two pair that's not just king and 8. Like king jack would call. So I would think maybe king queen and up. So going off this, and like I think this is a very straightforward hand. Again, I didn't want to go too deep into the solver and to the theoretical side, because this is an older guy who's clearly not thinking it on any kind of deep level. This is just a pure fold. Even with king 10, I'm towards the top of my range. Sort of with my hand. I mean, the true top would be jacks, king jack, and plus. But what is he trying to get value from? This is the problem. I just want to show you what he actually had. He had king queen, and this is why you can't play king queen like this. Is because you're not getting value from anything that's worse with this line by checking the flop. King 10 should fold, and every jack should fold. So you're only getting value from a better hand. You're getting raised here so often. Or you're just folding out what's better. So instead of giving a guy action by being sneaky and slow playing his top pair good kicker, I mean, I'm sorry, ace king could call here too. Obviously, we both have ace king at the same frequency, by the way. Um, that's just why this flop check makes no sense and the sizing makes no sense. You need to, as cliche as it sounds, this goes back to the early days of poker. You're telling a story when you're in a hand. His story makes no sense with the check on the flop. Bet the flop, bet the turn, and maybe even triple barrel. This is a good runoff for king queen. It's a very good runoff for king queen. If I have a boat or better or king jack, so be it. You block so many combos of king jack. You're not getting value from anything. So this guy should have made the absolute minimum against top pair good kicker. Instead, I ended up calling like a donkey and giving him the money because his hand was so face up. I leveled myself into this call because I couldn't believe how face up he was playing. So the key takeaway is when someone is taking a polarized line, but their bet sizing is not polarized, you need to figure out what he's doing with his bet size. If he's not polarizing because he's trying to get value, which is usually the case, you just need to fold out almost everything. Like I would fold out, I mean, I'm not going to be here with king 9. That's just the simple fact. I'm going to be here with king 8 and stack him. Or, put in a raise and then he's going to be in the blender because I'm going to jam with 660 behind. So, again, that's the key takeaway. When someone takes a polarizing line, but their bet size is not polarized, you need to figure out what that means. And most of the time, it just means that they have a medium strength hand that wants to get value. Some people take a polarized line and bet small because they're scared because they're bluffing and they don't want to bluff too much. But that would be only in the case when the board is a certain run out that has tons of bluffs. There's not many bluffs here. There's almost none. I don't need to run the solver here to figure out what a human needs to do to be bluffing in here. There's no bluffs. The solver would have bluffs, something like maybe like ace queen or something, but like in other hands that pocket deuces or something, or he's not three betting pocket deuces, so I don't really know. But like I said, don't give these people action and just think about what the bet sizing means. You're not playing limit, you're playing no limit. So bet sizes speak louder than anything else. Thank you guys. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. I'm gonna do a couple of these hands where I don't use solvers and then a couple hands when I do. I kind of like doing old school stuff like this also. Thanks guys. See you later.